Welcome. We start this broadcast with the latest news coming in. India has just lost their match against New Zealand at the T20 World Cup. We're being joined by our sports editor, Digvijay Singh Deo, for more on this. Good evening to you, Diggy. Thanks for being with us. Now, is it curtains for India at this T20 World Cup after this defeat to New Zealand?
Well, in cricket they say never say never, but as things stand, Alison, it's going to be pretty difficult for India to sort of pull a rabbit out of the hat after this defeat. When you have a total of six teams in one group, you are expected at least to win 4 out of the 5 you're going to play. The defeat to Pakistan last Sunday didn't leave India with too many options, especially when New Zealand and Afghanistan were the other two test playing nations in the group. And with a defeat as comprehensive as this, what we've just seen in Dubai, 8-wicket defeat, India actually going down to 5th in terms of net run rate. It's going to be very difficult, even if India wins the next 3 ones, which are against, say, Afghanistan, Namibia, and Scotland, which are the 3 games remaining. You will have to hope that some of the other teams somehow pull off upstairs, deny New Zealand win, deny a win to Afghanistan, somehow Pakistan already through. So it looks very difficult, and it's not a situation you expect a top-class team to be in if you are a favorite for a tournament, and then you are expecting other teams to do you favors.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the Indian team has come into the World Cup as one of the favorites. 2 defeats in 2 isn't what was expected by Indian fans.
No, and we already saw the reaction from Indian fans. Touch of it was perhaps over the top, yes, but Indian fans expect India to go out there and win, and it's also on the basis of a track record. Yes, India hasn't won an ICC trophy since 2013, but India has always sort of challenged in the tournaments after that. In the 2014 T20 World Cup, India were in the final. 2015 World Cup, India were in the semis. The 50-over World Cup, 2016 World Cup to T20 again in India were in the semis. The 2019 World Cup, India lost to New Zealand in the semis as well. So India have always sort of been there challenging for these trophies. They may not have gone out and won it. But to start off a tournament like this with 2 big defeats, and let's not forget, this seems as emphatic as the one Pakistan got, because Pakistan won by 10 wickets, New Zealand winning by 8 wickets with plenty of overs still left. This is really going to be very, very difficult, not just for the fans, but for the team, management, and for the Indian Cricket Board as well. Just look at the preparations India had. They were playing in the UAE. They played the IPL for about a month. They knew the conditions better than anyone else. The question is, which now will be asked when the postmortem invariably happens, is that were the Indians sort of guilty of peaking a bit too early, or were they fatigued playing the IPL? Whatever happens, this inquest is going to go on, and you don't lose 2 big matches right at the start of the tournament. It just perhaps puts you out even before you've got into contention.
Yeah. Now, there's been a lot of talk in Indian cricket about the inability to win an ICC trophy since 2013. Now, this defeat comes against New Zealand, who have been one of India's toughest opponents.
Yes, as I was mentioning, some of those defeats which have come in ICC tournaments have come against the Kiwis. In fact, in the World Test Championship a couple of months back, India went down to New Zealand when the match sort of seemed to be heading towards a draw after all that rain which happened over in England. When you look at this match, Alison, and you've seen this happening over the years in South African cricket as well, where you're from at the moment. It's sort of, India, the inability to sort of absorb in the pressure. All the talk we heard from the Indian captain through Virat Kohli leading up to this match was about India rectifying the mistakes what they made against Pakistan. But when you have to sort of put the pressure on the opposition, you cannot score 110 in a T20 World Cup. I mean, that's a score which is going to invite trouble. We were having a conversation just ahead of this match as to what should India do to put New Zealand under pressure. And I had said that, even if you bat first, even if you lose the toss and bat first, and you get runs on the board, get 170, 180, that's how you put the opposition under pressure. But it was the New Zealand bowlers who completely put Indian batsmen under pressure. The fact that your big batsmen, the famed Indian batting lineup of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, KL Rahul, and then Ishan Kishan, who were drafted in for this match, are back in the dugout with a score around 48. You don't expect your lower order to bail you out all the time. And that just clearly shows that there was no plan B, that the New Zealand bowlers had the Indians in a sort of vice-like grip. The fact remains that under pressure, where you expect these players who sort of handle the big stage very well when it comes to franchise cricket or various other forms of cricket, they sort of completely froze. And that completely played into New Zealand's hands. There is talk, Alison, about these pitches being a bit slow. There is talk about the pitches helping the spinners. But these Indian batsmen are brought up on the best spinning conditions. And I, for one, just could not believe that the 8 overs sent down by the Kiwi spinners, Ish Sodhi and Mitchell Santner, went for just 32 runs. So an absolute batting disaster. And you go back to that Pakistan game, and even though India got 150, it was the inability to sort of get runs at the top of the order. It's sort of with KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma falling early, putting the pressure on the Indian captain Virat Kohli, and they sort of just could not accelerate. The same thing happened today. Batsmen led the team down.
Yeah, absolutely, Diggy. Now, what you've really put this down to what has gone wrong is that the batting just floundered. Where to for the team from here?
Well, I think now that it's all but over, let's not sort of just think that it's over at the moment, because you never know, anything could happen in cricket, as I just told you. But it's perhaps time to go back to the drawing book and figure out a new way. They were brave by playing Ishan Kishan with Surya Kumar Yadav injured. Ishan Kishan comes in, the questions will be asked. Is it fair to throw in someone like an Ishan Kishan who's playing his first game of this tournament, never played a World Cup before? You throw him in to open the batting ahead of a much more established pair like KL Rahul and someone like Rohit Sharma. We saw Rohit Sharma dropping down to 3, Virat Kohli dropping down to 4, and so on. Virat Kohli is stepping down after this World Cup. This is the end of Virat Kohli's journey as T20I captain. Ravi Shastri, the coach of this team for the last 4 or 5 years, he's stepping down as well. So it's about rebuilding. And who rebuilds? Is Rohit Sharma the future? There is a T20 World Cup next year, another one. And at that point of time, Rohit Sharma will be 35, 36. The core of this Indian team is pretty young. But there's some brave calls that have to be made. A big question mark all through the build-up to this T20 World Cup was about Hardik Pandya's fitness. Could he bowl? Yes, he got runs for India, but his primarily responsibility was to go out there and bowl 4 overs and sort of reduce the pressure on the other bowlers as well. You saw Shardul Thakur coming in for this match, but clearly the question that have to be asked is, did India get the combination right? Because all of us who kept looking at this team were wondering that are we a bowler short? And that sort of come back to bite the Indian team. So plenty of soul searching to do. And clearly there's not too much time. There's a T20 World Cup coming up next year as well.
Right. Diggy, we'll leave it there. Unfortunately, disappointing for the Indian team today. But thanks for bringing us all the latest in that analysis.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.